So what was your favorite movie from the 2000s and why?
Well, I have not watched a lot of the movies in the 2000s, except for like really early in the decade, because when we got Marina and adopted her from Guatemala, we basically have just spent so much time with her that we've only done kids movies. So now she's getting older and we've watched a lot of, but I really did like High School Musical 3, which might be embarrassing, but hey, I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Okay, how would you describe the music from the 2000s, like the transition from older music to music in the 2000s?
Well, you know, hip hop became a lot bigger in the 2000s, so that's certainly one development, the development of hip hop. Most of the other genres and styles of music were already there, and I think what's happened to pop music is it's become much more eclectic. Now people listen to anything, and it's almost like pop music is really on its way out because people have so many more choices when it comes to music, and the radio stations too. It's not everyone playing what in the top 10 song. Now you have only a few stations like maybe IXX that are considered pop stations, and then you have all these other stations. So it's really changed. It's become much more eclectic, much more from many different decades.
So what was your favorite movie from the 2000s?
My favorite movie from the 2000s, oh, I would say Hangover. Hangover, I think that came all around 2010. It's
Yeah, I
later,
think so.
but I would say that.
So how would you describe the music from the 2000s, like how it changed from the early decades?
Well, the music from the 2000s, I didn't really get into it because my music is a little bit different generation. I'm still in the hair bands of the 1980s, so I didn't really get into it. But you know, you still see that the Justin Biebers, what I classify as people that will come and go very quickly. They don't.
Okay, how has communication changed in the 2000s with respect to like social interaction and technology?
Oh, tremendously. With cell phones, every kid now has cell phones. In the 1990s, a few did, but all of a sudden in the 2000s, every kid has a cell phone. You know, with iPads and everything else, it makes communication a lot easier.
And have you thought communication's become more or less personal since the mention of all that technology?
I think it's become less personal. I think the skills that kids have today, they do a great job texting.
Yeah.
But when they are one-on-one with, you know, like when they have to go through an interview process or something like that, that's where they're going to struggle because they're so accustomed to texting everything.
Yeah. So what was one major event from the 2000s that you remember, and what were you doing on that day?
9/11. I remember 9/11. I was teaching world cultures that day, and I turned on the news right after the first plane had hit the building. And then the rest of the day we pretty much watched that. The kids didn't want to leave when the bell rang because they saw the second plane hit the second World Trade Center. And yeah, that was a pretty significant day.
So what was your favorite moment, like socially, culturally, politically, from the 2000s?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I would say my favorite moments are just going to bands that now, when I was growing up as a kid, they were big bands at that time period, but now going back to them and seeing some of them at Waterfest, like Night Ranger or something like that, and some at Rock USA, like Van Halen's coming up this summer. That's what I like the best.
From 2008, there was an economic depression. How do you think how that's impacted society?
A great deal. Our unemployment rate went sky high, and we are still trying to rebound from that. You know, when the stock market goes down and people lose 37% of their portfolio, that has a huge impact on people who are close to retirement and even those who weren't. And we're still in the process of recovering from that greatest recession since the Great Depression, so it's a huge event.
So what was your favorite movie from the 2000s and why?
I like the movie Pearl Harbor. It was well directed and very historically accurate.
Okay, so how would you describe the 2000s music?
I don't know. It's just okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was one major event in the 2000s that you remember?
Definitely 9/11. Just everyone was all sad about it, and I remember like coming home and my parents were all like freaking out about it, and then yeah.
Okay, so what invention from the 2000s has benefited you the most?
Cell phone. I think that's 2000s. I use it a lot.
All the single
Ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies,
all the single ladies, all the single ladies. Now put your hands up. There we go. Got it. From the 2000s, what was your favorite movie?
I would have to say the first Iron Man.
Nice. So, what was your favorite type of music from the 2000s?
Country music.
Very nice. What was one major event you remember from the 2000s?
9/11.
Okay. What invention from the 2000s do you like the most?
The invention of the iPhone.
There we go. And then, so what was your favorite moment from the 2000s?
Green Bay Packers winning the Super Bowl. All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies. Now put your hands up.
There we go.
Done.
My favorite movie from the 2000s is probably Anchorman.
Nice. How would you describe how would you describe your favorite music from the 2000s?
My favorite music from the 2000s is probably like Backstreet Boys, In Sync.
Ooh, there we go. There we go.
Kids Bop.
So what was a major event from the 2000s that you remember?
Probably like the 9/11 bombings. I was like, I was in preschool at the time, and I had like an off day, and my dad told me that some stuff was going down, and we went to our neighbors and watched it happen.
So what was one invention from the 2000s that has had a major impact on your life?
Probably the iPod.
Okay, and what was your favorite moment from the 2000s?
Oh, my favorite moment from the 2000s. Probably going on vacation in Cayman Islands.
What was your favorite movie from the 2000s and why?
Starsky and Hutch, and that was like in 2005. It was pretty funny, just kind of a spoof on the series from the 70s. So it was kind of nice just to sit back and have a gut-wrenching laugh. Okay.
So what was a major event from the 2000s you remember, and what were you doing on that day?
Well, I suppose 2001, September 11th. I was starting to trade in the morning, and when the two planes hit the buildings, it shut down trading for a week, and that was the first market crash in the 2000s.
So what invention from the 2000s has had a major impact on your life?
I would say the advancement of the internet, with Wi-Fi, digital photography, things like that. Definitely all the advancements in technology.
Okay, and what was your favorite moment from the 2000s? Like socially, culturally, economically, anything like that?
I like the dot-com bubble of the early 2000s. That was kind of fun because I trade and stocks went to Pluto for no reason. It was just a fun time to trade. You could be a monkey and throwing darts at a dartboard and make money. That was fun.
So what was your favorite movie from the 2000s?
I'd have to say High School Musical.
And why is that?
I really like the singing and dancing.
Okay, so what was a major event from the 2000s that you remember?
9/11 did happen in the 2000s.
And what were you doing on that day?
I do believe I was in preschool. I don't remember what I was doing. Probably sitting in class, being a good student.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what invention from the 2000s has had a major impact on your life?
Oh, definitely the iPhone.
Definitely, and why is that?
Well, I have an iPhone now, and it consumes a lot of my day, so I'd say that's a pretty big impact.
Okay, and what was your favorite moment from the 2000s?
Definitely when the Packers won the Super Bowl.
There we go. Okay.
Single lady.
All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies. Now put your hands up.
What was your favorite movie from the 2000s and why?
My favorite movie from the 2000s was the Lizzie McGuire movie because it's adorable and everything about it is perfect.
Okay. What was a major event from the 2000s you remember, and what were you doing on that day?
I remember 9/11 really well. I was about to go to preschool and my mom turned on the TV and we were standing in the living room and we were just watching it.
Okay. What invention from the 2000s has had a major impact on your life?
Smartphones,
And why is that?
because you have everything in the palm of your hand.
Good answer. And what was your favorite moment from the 2000s?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Swag! Okay.
When Taylor Swift became very famous.
And why is that?
Because I love Taylor Swift.
This is Kirsten Mathers. She's 18 years old, and by the United States of America, she is an adult.
Okay, so what was your favorite movie from the 2000s and why?
Inception, because it was cool.
Okay. Next question. What invention in the 2000s has had a major impact on your life?
The iPhone,
And why is that?
because it's one of the only smartphones that can actually work.
Mine.
Ready. Okay, it's recording. Great. What was your favorite movie in the 2000s and why?
My favorite movie in the 2000s? Probably not at the box office. My favorite movie of the 2000s was a made-for-TV series, Jack the Ripper, and it accurately portrayed, at least I think, what Jack the Ripper was all about in England.
Oh.
And it starred my favorite actor, Michael Caine.
Cool. How would you describe the 2000s music?
The 2000s music was, it was rocking. It was almost as good as the 80s. They took the 80s and they did a lot of remixes and stuff like that from the 80s, so it was almost as good as the 80s. But the 2000 music was good. It rocked.
All right.
It was totally tubular.
Tubular. All right. So, how has communications changed in the 2000s with social interaction from the past?
That was like going from the horse and buggy era to warp speed forward with communications. Today, in the 2000s, we got bombarded with email, text messaging, all kinds of different massive, high-speed, frequent communications.
And do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I found myself evolving with it, and it was a bad thing. It got to be an issue, and I actually dropped all of my electronic communications for a little while because it got to be too much. But today, I think, as long as we control it appropriately, I think it is a good thing.
Okay, and then what was a major event in the 2000s, and what were you doing on that day?
Well, it's a tough one because, of course, we had Y2K that happened right at January 1st of 2000. So that was a big deal, but it turned out to be no event whatsoever. I think the biggest event of the 2000s was probably 9/11, but it didn't directly affect me as much as probably the Federal Reserve dropping interest rates 12 times in 2002 to 2003, because as the Federal Reserve dropped interest rates that many times, it caused some funny things to happen in the stock market.
Okay. What invention in the 2000s was a major impact on your life?
Probably the evolution of the cell phone, the smartphone, having a computer that not only does the things a phone does, but also does the things a computer does, being basically in your pocket. And that changed my life by being ubiquitous communications with all of my clients, friends, and family.
Vocab word. Good job.
Thanks.